Ms. Forster.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Teahan, for being here.
Thank
I've
you.
got a few questions for you.
Sure.
So the last President and CEO actually got a mandate letter from the Premier, and then when his tenure was renewed, he got another mandate letter. Have you received a mandate letter at this point in time from the Premier?
No, all I have seen or I understand is that there's an OIC that covers that will be signed, hopefully, or it's so far signed and has to be, I believe it would be endorsed based on this committee's recommendation that outlines the terms and conditions of my employment or position as CEO, and that's what I think, that's all I have.
That's all you know about at this point in time?
That's all
No
I'm
mandate.
aware of.
Okay, so my next question is with respect to the reports recently that the premium rates are going to decrease by some 17 to 18% by 2017, 2018. And we live in a province that has one of the lowest coverage rates for workers across the country. So could you see an actual expansion to universal coverage of workplaces as a way to further reduce the rates that are already proposed to happen in the next couple of years by sharing the risk and including 30% more of workplaces under WSIB coverage?
So I think what you're referring to when you're talking about lowest coverage rates, not the, just so I'm clear, not the level of benefits if a worker is injured, but the number of workers that are covered.
Correct.
So there's approximately 75% of workers in the province that are covered today. Some of the exclusions are banks and other places. There has been some discussion about that, I understand. That would be a decision that the government would have to make in terms of whether it would want to expand coverage. The reality, though, on the premium rate side is, the current premium rate has a significant component of the current premium rate is made up of a payment toward the unfunded liability. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's so important to bring the unfunded liability down, because it then can lead toward the potential reduction in the premium rate. And as I say, I think, though, that not just a reduction in premium rate that is important, but also the ability to protect workers' benefits. Because the unfortunate reality, when there has been such a high unfunded liability over the course of the last 50 years, when that unfunded liability goes up and down, there are only two ways that people, instinctively think it should be dealt with. One is increased premium rates, or the other is lower benefits. Mm. And I believe getting that unfunded liability down can actually help stop that conversation and reach a better balance.
If we can get back to the universal coverage piece, though. So, originally, in the creation of workers' compensation, there were no exclusions, right? Way back when. And then there were just kind of banks and insurance companies that weren't covered. But today, as workplaces change, we have all kinds of IT sectors,
yes.
Service sectors that aren't covered. So would you be willing and open to have the dialogue about a move to universal coverage as the new president? Well,
as I say, that's a decision that a government would have to make. One of the opportunities, though, that I believe that is available when I talked about opportunities that present itself, if the unfunded liability was decreased and premium rates came down, it would be more affordable for many. It may well be more affordable, put it that way. It may well be more affordable for some of those workplaces that are currently uncovered to buy insurance from the Workers' Compensation Board, which they can do anyway, voluntarily. And that's why it's, but they're not going to do that unless there's a competitive rate and there's good service. And those are goals that I intend to ensure we pursue.
I understand that WSIB is undergoing a massive technological project at the moment, that the original budget for that project was $30 million. Can you tell us, and that it was supposed to be rolled out within 3 years of the first phase starting as early as maybe the spring of this year. Can you tell us where they're at with respect to that budget, keeping in line with the budget? And you know, we had through the Community Social Services huge problems with the SAMS project. And so can you tell us
I can't speak to specifics of where they are on the budget because I haven't been there, and I have not been into the board or talked to people at the board about that, you know, in advance of this. That's because I've been very respectful of this process. Obviously, I know that there's been an IT project underway. That will be one of the first things as a president that I have to get in and understand in terms of where they are. Your point is very well taken, that managing and having effective project management over significant IT projects is critically important, and it's one of the challenges that any organization faces, that they have to keep a very close eye on.
You spoke actually in your opening remarks about the kind of importance of the people that actually work
Yes.
In this industry. Are you aware there was a recent survey done of approximately 3,400 frontline staff at WSIB, and that over 80% of those frontline workers felt that their workplace was unsupportive, that they were harassed, that they were bullied, and that they didn't believe that WSIB should have a standing in the top 100 employers in the province. Do you believe that it's part of your mandate to address those morale concerns with the staff? And
As I said to you in my opening, that is, I want the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board to be a place where people, where it supports those people that make that organization work. When I was the Chief of Corporate Services, one of the goals that I set for the organization at being responsible for human resources was to be one of the top 100 employers in the province. It's still one of my goals to achieve that.
Are you aware that workplace illnesses at WSIB sits at 35% in comparison to the national average of 25%, and that WSIB staff who experience injuries or workplace illnesses actually have their claims denied at twice the rate as the general population. So here we are with this group of people trying to assist workers who experience workplace illness or injury, having their own claims denied at twice the rate. What can you do to kind of address that?
I can't speak to that statistic. I don't know where it's from, and it's the first I've heard it. What I will say to you is, as I say, I want the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board to be celebrated as a place that values the people that work there. It's a number one priority for me. It's been a value that I've brought to every job I've had, whether it's been practicing law, whether it's been being a chief of staff in a minister's office or in the premier's office, or when I worked at the Workplace Safety and Insurance Board, is that you have to value the people that work with you and that are critical to making a workplace function.
Harry Arthurs in his report actually in 2010 spoke aggressively against experience rating, which clearly leads to claim suppression, non-reporting, all those kinds of things that you're aware of. Do you have any plans to address enforcement? Because there was recent legislation introduced in the last session,
yes,
but it didn't address the issue of enforcement and in what time frame they were actually going to roll that out. Do you have any thoughts on that?
So two separate issues, I think, or two separate questions. One, claim suppression in the last session, amendments to the Act were passed to create a penalty or an offense if an employer suppressed a claim. Employers and workers absolutely have to expect that there is integrity in the system. Otherwise, the system won't work. And obviously now there is a new offense in place. The WSIB has to ensure that that it's diligent in identifying circumstances where there's a failure to report or any other activity that undermines the integrity of the system, and we'll have to put the pieces into place to ensure that's there. As it relates to experience rating, it's a debate that's been going on between employers and the injured worker community for some time. There is a consultation currently underway regarding changes to the classification and rate group structure. That consultation is active and underway, and where experience rating fits into the system is part of that discussion. I think that's a very important consultation that has to continue and conclude. I think there are important changes that need to be made to the classification and rate group structure, and within that, there has to be further analysis of where experience rating fits.
Thank you very much, Ms. Forster. Out of time. Ms. McGarry, you have about 4.5 minutes left.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here today, Mr.